Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Now we have in the studio Mazi Jerry Udochu. Is an elder statesman and administrator. And now, in recent times, the issue of paternity testing has sparked intense debate across Nigeria. The reports show that 1 in 4 men who undergo DNA tests discover that they are not the biological fathers of their children. And that is what Mazi Udochu will be, here to dissect and talk about with us this morning. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you very much, and good morning to our viewers.
Yes. All right, so now let's get right into it. First of all, these statistics, 1 in 4 Nigerian men who go for DNA tests discover that they are not the biological fathers of their children. What does this mean? Like, what does this reveal about, family dynamics and trust levels in Nigerian homes?
Well, first of all, I want to say I don't know where that statistics is coming from, because the issue of DNA test or paternity test remains highly confidential. So if it's coming from the service providers, I don't know how they get about it. But then, going by what we have had, according to that statistics, well, is unfortunate, and is revealing a lot of either infidelity in marriage, lack of trust, and so on. But beyond that, I think there are so many factors behind this. But also, before I go into that, my take and question always is, why is it in Nigeria that a dog bites a man? It's not a news. It's the normal thing. People, go and take injection and forget about it. But when a man bites a dog, it becomes the topic of the day. CNN and other international media will carry it. Why am I saying this? I know from where I work and from the experience I have, and also from the patriarchal nature of our society, especially in this part of the world, men are more promiscuous. That one is very certain. Those who were giving out these statistics about the paternity test conducted is looking at it against the women. But what of when you look at the men? And I'm sure if there is a way to also conduct paternity of test of children, especially from single mothers, those who were raped and so on and so forth, those who were lured into it by trafficking and so on. I know half of the children of the world will have a different result, and we know that who actually is their father. To that end, we'll now start asking questions. Why is this of the ladies? Because I've worked in this organization, SEDOC Nigeria, for many years, and I've passed through a lot of cases, regarding this issue of paternity. I passed through my table. So I have to really say exactly that why are we focusing on that of the women? Because even most men that are married, even in the social media, I was reading something, I think a few days ago, a man is claiming to be the son of Tinubu and so on, that he got pregnant when the mother was dancing for Fela Kuti, and the mother left to Delta State, Bayelsa, and after about 30 or 40 years, he's now coming looking for Tinubu as the mother. So we men, even married ones in the comfort of their home, enjoying their families and even accusing their wife, of cheating, have children outside. So what are we talking about?
So you're saying that it goes both ways, both the men and the women are guilty of.
Men more guilty. I'm a man, and I have to be real. I always keep telling people, because fighting, when anything comes in terms of gender, more attention is focused on the women fold. Why? That a man cheated, it's the normal thing now. Men are promiscuous by nature. That's the popular saying. But when a woman do that, nobody even considers under what circumstance. Because this issue of if I'm going to go by the statistics released, if it is correct, now let us go and look at the underlying factors. What led to these things? Like I said, so many cases that passed through my table, and I know so many women that did it out of one, love, or even to protect the family. Or some of the men that came to cry foul now are even guilty. They know they cannot reproduce, and maybe the woman, in an attempt to keep the family name and protect the integrity of the husband, will dabble into these things. So it's not that all of them, most of them went into it out of greed, out of insatiable pursuit for wealth, but some too do it in order to protect the family image and so on. So I have been in these areas. I don't just get that statistic and I start laying blame on women.
Yes, yes. So now I'd like to know, looking at in a typical African culture, a typical African setting, is the issue of paternity actually a cause for concern or a major concern, or is it just with advancements and people just trying to be modern and they're focusing on these things instead?
Well, just as you said, based on African culture and so on, it's a serious issue for concern. I must have to be frank with you. Take, for instance, issue of inheritance. I have had cases even before I started working with an NGO in my community. A man grew in a particular village, became so wealthy. He had built a lot of houses. He sent many people to give them job and give scholarship and so on. When it came to the point of contesting for PG, you see some riffraffs, man, just emerged from somewhere and started contesting with the man. And people will say, look, this man had done a lot of things, and because of that, you cannot even match him. They start cheap blackmail. Say, this man is not even from this village. And they have to trace the paternity of the man to one of the remotest village in my locality. And when the man started making inquiry, it became confirmed that he is from that village after spending more than 40 years thereabout. So it is issue for concern, because even at that level, according to the culture, it will start manifesting. We also know some politicians who have been denied either ticket or something. Maybe when it comes to issue of paternity and so, they say you are not from here and so on. So it's a serious issue, especially when we come to inheritance.
Yes.
Yes, and that is why when I have such issue, there's this current one I'm handling, and the man say, it doesn't matter, I know it's not my child, but I have introduced him to my people. Even if I die tomorrow, he had not, you will get all the inheritance, he will inherit my things. And so I say, oh, God, go and write a will. That's the only thing that will save this guy. Otherwise, one radical will come out one day and you will not be alive to defend it. It's simple. Yes. It's our culture.
Yes, wow, that is actually true. But earlier on, you said that the statistics, you don't understand the basis of that statistics that that just came out. So would you say that there is an agenda, or someone is pushing this agenda of paternity to disrupt fragile African communities, or to just disrupt families generally?
Well, you may be correct, and maybe even beyond that. You see, say when you want to kill a dog, simple give it a bad name. Especially in Nigeria, my own thinking may differ, but according to the work we do, we have fought so many battles in terms of women participation in politics and so on, giving women special seats. In fact, even in the traditional setting, if you look at some of the communities in Enugu State now, they have started having women in the Igwe cabinet with title and all these things. And the easiest way to disrupt this process is just coming up with this kind of issues. And that is why you always bring women in the negative picture, always. just to swallow them and say, okay, they are cheaters, they are cheats. They are not trustworthy, they are morally bankrupt, how can they contest and so on. So me, look at the way I'm looking at it beyond our culture and so on. Because some of us that even push these things, especially the men, we are guilty of it. Some of us, even our wives, don't know that we may have children outside the marriage. And they may not know. And we just hide it. We either pay the girl off. I go to other Ministry of Gender Affairs where they give our children for adoption. Most of the children that is just a result of men's promiscuity and so on. So for me, I think to kill a dog, give it a bad name. That's all why we are seeing this thing coming up.
Yes.
Otherwise, if it should be on the front burner, means our own men who have been in the limelight for a very long time. I'm telling you, I've really seen a lot. There are certain things I say all the time that if I'm not working where I'm working today, there are certain information when you relate to me, I'll now say it's not possible.
It's not possible.
Yes, but now with the knowledge I have, let us stop crying wolf.
Yeah. But do you think that this whole paternity thing will interfere with family cohesion and cause some form of problems among families?
It creates a lot of problem. Yes, a lot of problem in the family, especially when it comes to inheritance, right?
Yeah,
that is
like
where
you
play a very big role. Then issue of stigma too comes in. People calling a child a bastard, even though for us it's no gray area. And that is why one of the responsibilities we have is to protect the integrity of the child. And how do we do that? To make sure that even if a woman is got pregnant out of wedlock or something, we must stress who is the man responsible. And from day one, you start taking care. Because to us, if you see a child passing along the road and you call the child bastard, you are in trouble. Because you have to prove to us that a man did not lay with the mother before he or she is giving birth. Because according to the Bible, the only time I know it happened was when Jesus Christ was born. There was clear evidence that it was through Holy Spirit. And apart from that process, every other reproductive process must be a process involving a man and a woman. So that is why the child rights law, give provisions to protect this part of something that will occur in the future. Then the stigma placed on the child, calling the child a bastard. It has no inheritance either from the maternal side. Of course, most of them will not know who is your father and so on. And even if the mother knows and the man responsible gives strong warning and say, never mention me, take the child and so on. And they will hide it from the child. So it's a big problem.
That is true. But also, speaking of reproduction, these days there are scientific methods of women getting pregnant these days without having to lay with someone. Insemination, there are different ways. So in situations like this, what would be the position of true paternity of people? Because when women get pregnant through these scientific methods, they have no idea who the father of the child could be. So do you think that also plays a role?
I laugh at some of these things because no matter what the science can do, you cannot beat nature. Yes, such things process we know, but even those who work in the sperm bank knows who donates them. There are processes, documentation made before even someone donates us. So issue of tracing the paternity may not be, if Nigeria is so organized and we keep record, and we also want to follow the legal process in discovering things. The discovering the paternity is not an issue because the blood bank will know whoever donate this thing. But in Nigeria, they may tell you they don't have record. Somebody can come from the moon, whether he has HIV and so on, he donates sperm. All what they want to do is to use it for artificial insemination or what they call it, surrogate motherhood or something like that. They want to do it. But if it is in the Western world, before you make, even if it is you're donating your blood or sperm or whatever, kidney, there must be proper documentations to trace who is who. And also, you know, in advanced country now, this issue of a girl was raped, you don't know who impregnated you and so on. There had been scientific process where even you can detect, provided the girl reported within 24 hours and certain, what they call it, certain other substance or something, but I just want to remember the medical name. Collected within the 24 hours and stored in the system. Most of them now, like one information I read, a man was arrested in the airport while we wanting to travel out because he was arrested based on the fact that on record is a rapist because of the I will just get what they call it, you know, they collected immediately that thing happened. So telling me that under such process the paternity will be issued is not true, because there are records or there are processes to discover who even donated the sperm and so on.
Exactly. Now, earlier on when you were speaking, when you started on talking about how you feel about the idea of the DNA, you made mention of that there are various factors, you know, around this idea of DNA, both the testing and the rest. So what are those factors? Can you just share with us?
Well, in terms of, I think what I said is there are factors that either push the woman into cheating or something, you know, to get pregnant out of wedlock or out of the family.
The family or the marriage.
You know, of the marriage. I had this case. A man trained a lady in one of the high institutions in Nigeria, in the Southeast here, and proposed marriage. And during the final year, the man wanted the lady to get pregnant, and all effort for the lady to get pregnant failed. And at a point, they got concerned and went for fertility tests. It was revealed confidentially, because when they went for the fertility test, it happened that the lady knew somebody there, and that's ever revealed that say, pull out of this marriage if you don't want to have emotional damage in the future. That this man, nothing can make him fertile to the level of impregnating you or any woman. She hid that information, trying to protect the marriage. The man has invested on her and so on and so forth, and now decided, in fact, the first pregnancy was by the cost rep.
Wow.
During the final year, and he had about 3-4 children, none of them from the man. She held this just to protect the image of the man. And also, one thing also you know is that, yes, we cast aspersions on women that cheat, probably to protect the interests of the family. Then, the most shameful one would have been from the man. If the society recognize you as an impotent man, you can't produce, and so on. No girl, no woman will even want to do anything with you unless just for gratifications. In terms of marriage, they will say, so it's even more serious on us. But because of love, some women will want to protect the man. And on the process of doing this, then it will escalate and backfire against them.
Yes. Wow. Okay. But this DNA test, how reliable are these DNA tests, their facilities, and even the results? Because there have also been issues of errors and negligence when it comes to these results as well.
In everything, we have Nigerian factor. And just like in every other field, when you want to do eye surgery, there are so many hospitals that say they will handle it. And many people have gone there and come back with so many complications. The same goes with artisans. Somebody will not be qualified and become a mechanic and start destroying people's vehicle. The same thing applied in the field of DNA test. That is what I have found out. But for my organization, we go for the best. In fact, we use 2 organizations for the paternity test. Before, there were no way in Nigeria. We have to send specimen. Yeah, I was thinking of specimen.
Okay.
Abroad. It takes months. Then at a point, they established one in Lagos. It will take, lesser months. And recently, we have them, even in Enugu, here, we have about 1 or 2. And after conducting here, they will also send the specimen and other results to overseas for confirmation, final confirmation. That's why when people come and say they have done paternity tests and so on, and we'll say no, we will do our own. And because of the risk involved, we will not even tell the people this is where we are going to do it until the day we want to conduct it. And of course, in some cases, we have to seek the permission of either the director of DSS or the commissioner of police when we see that there is a lot of controversy that may lead to either some criminal investigation or something like that, especially when issue of denial comes in. We involve them so that if the result comes, no matter where it goes, the guilty person must have to be prosecuted.
Exactly. But it's funny because, in Nigeria, we support legal adoption of children.
Yeah, sure.
And then on the other side, we are now, finding situations whereby paternity of people, are being questioned. So do you think this is contradictory or confusing?
At all. They are parallel lines that will never meet. Adoption, even from the biblical aspect of it, is something that is expressly granted, and it has a process. And in the course of my job, like I said, you have also seen quack adoptions. People who go to orphanage and tell you, or people arrange with somebody who gave birth and take a chance, say, make some documentation and say it has been. No, there is a legal process. You have to apply through Ministry of either Women Affairs, depending on the state, or like in Enugu State, Ministry of Children and Gender Affairs. There will be proper documentation. And in such process, the person giving up a child for adoption will not even know who is adopting, to protect a future, because in the past it has happened, and maybe after so many years, the girl who is giving out for adoption, it could be because of circumstances surrounding her economically. And in a few years' time, when she bounce back and so on, and maybe married and no child, she will now go back and start. So it's done in a legal way and in a process that will protect the child. And once that process is gone through, that child becomes a legitimate part of that family. It has right of inheritance. It's just like in the issue of citizenship. If you change your citizenship now from Nigeria to maybe UK or US, you have every right, contest election, every right belonging to citizens.
Exactly.
That is that.
Now you've stated now that there is a clear law, protecting adopted children, right, from being legal children to the people who adopted them.
And that law is outside illegal adoption.
Exactly.
That one, we look at it as even at a point, child trafficking, adoption of a child.
Now, I want to also look at, this issue of paternity fraud. Even though you've mentioned that some of the women also, do it to protect the man's identity, we also know that there are cases of, cases of infidelity actually from the women. This one is not to protect the man. Sure. There are cases like that. Now, do you think that there needs to be a law, a specific legal framework to protect men, women, children from these paternity fraud issues, particularly if the woman is guilty of, having a child outside of wedlock?
Well, if there should be, that would be a little bit difficult, because if there should be such legal framework, it has to go both sides.
Yes.
And if it goes both sides, who will suffer it more? The men. The men. I know this case of even infidelity on the part of women, to be candid with you, it's rare. It's rare in marriage. I know a woman, he lives in the brothel, and he's from one of my in-laws' community. And one man who also, maybe after work, go there to sleep with her and see other men around. Eventually, they turn out to become husband and wife. And as soon as that happened, it became a turnaround for that woman. He has to break the SIM card or communication with other people and remain faithful in that marriage.
Yes, exactly.
So many women do that, but
it's not.
Do men do that? I want to
all right. Thank you so much, Mazi Jerry Udochu. I mean, I would love this conversation to continue, but we're out of time, so we're going to end it here for now. But thank you so much. 2 minutes. But thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for your time.
The topic as sensitive as this needs to be given time.
Yes,
there are a lot of things we have said about it, but there is always a next time.
Yes, there is always a next time. Thank you so much. All right, and with that, we've come to the end of our show this morning. I hope you had a great time. We had a lot of interesting and insightful conversations. Thank you so much for staying with us and for starting your morning with us. I am Uchenna Chimdi Olwoha. Have a wonderful day.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.